Welcome. In this video, we're going to talk about Ssangsu Geombup ship Ibon, Form 12, Section 3. Notice I said Section 3, not Part 1, not Part 2, because although the length of this section is the same as relatively most of the other forms, maybe a little bit shorter, like a little bit, some of the ideas that we already talked about come into play, right? So there's really like three major pieces of Form 12 that recur several times, and this has a few of them, right? So taking it from our right wing position, right? So we have our blade on our right side, again, having it off to the side this way, right? So again, we talked about going from here into the spin crescent kick. Now I've been doing a lot of Taekwondo recently. So into a spin cross cut, right? So from here, all we're going to do, I'm going to face you for this one actually. So notice so don't do this. I'm not doing that way, right? I am trying, almost like I'm rotating around that tip or even like the weak of the sword. I'm going to start my rotation as it rolls, going forward. And now notice we're essentially in the same position as we were when we did our center cut this way, right? From here, cross cut again into that collecting guard, right? So in the event other angles help, right? Maybe this angle will probably help a little bit better. So from here, again, not flipping, not turning, and then twisting. From here, keep the weak of the sword essentially where it is as I spin up into our guard that way. One thing that I appreciate with this one is, with this whole form, is trying to make this guard work for a couple different things, right? So the first time through, we just go into a guard. Second time through, we go into a power strike, right? Again, remembering that power strike is also a wide range, essentially area of effect cut, right? As opposed to this is a single target, right? Section 4 is going to be also single target, right? But the idea here, after we've just cleared our space, maybe made some damage, defense, and here, this is my actual favorite part of the form. It didn't used to be because it felt so weird until my brain started to actually piece together the momentum aspect. So, a piece that we talked about in Section 1 that I was very, very critical of, but hinted that this is what would essentially make this section work, was the whole, so from here we're going to pop up like a unicorn, we're going to turn, and we're going to strike. Remembering that because the blade was high and vertical, I could maneuver around it very easily, as opposed to having something like this, again with all that extra mass and momentum, a little more difficult. So we're going to get there soon, don't worry. But we also have like just an overpowered cut, which is just something I love. So I'm going to face this way for first. You can kind of see the profile, and then I want to face you next, right? So if we're here, we're in our guard, we're going to roll. Same thing with our thrust. We're going to thrust, we're going to check behind us, just like early in the form. From here, remember what we used to do. We used to pop up before we do change in direction. If you remember, we did that with our cut back into this guard, right? But we're here, I'm going to get a little more space. Pop up, look at my new target. I am going to charge and cut that target. So from here, I recommend step behind because that helps you use your whole body to shift and grind into that one cut. But from here, pop up, step through, big diagonal cut, cut down into a high guard. So that is something that you have to feel for yourself, right? So obviously don't get hurt because I'm not legally, responsible for all that fun stuff, but you can see this motion 1,000 times as a judge, as a, instructor watching your students, but this has to be something that you feel, right? So again, just from the top, right? So from here, we did our thrust, we checked behind, we're looking, we're gonna pop up, we're gonna do a charging diagonal into a high guard. So what I really, really, really love about that is the momentum of that cut. So the fact that you bring up into a high guard is really neat. Anyway, I'm getting a little too excited, right? So from here, thinking about that downward momentum, using the mass of that sword, you're gonna pivot on that front foot as it kind of forces you to step forward, right? As you let gravity and the momentum of the sword bring up to a position of, again, killed momentum, but has potential momentum or potential energy because it is high. And we're going to do some fun stuff from there. But in fact, let's go there, right? So from here, we're in our high guard. Spinning underneath it, we're going to turn into that second cross cut, into our second pushing block, and we're going to move on from there. There's a new move, not a new move, but there's an actual move after that as opposed to a guard. So I want to play with that first before we kind of move on from there. So especially, I don't want to like rush through this part but we've already talked about that. But from here, try to feel the active momentum of the weapon, right? From here, big 1, 2, 3, 4, right? So it's a lot of like up and down with that momentum, right? I'm going to try that also with that longer sword as well, kind of give you this sense of like, yeah, the fun of it, right? Now, as much as I would love to, that diagonal cut is the one that's worrying, just because of the floor and stuff like that. You're going to notice that the cut usually ends up being a little bit wider here to get into the high guard. But let's play with that. From here, popping up, so you have that downward momentum already going. Make sure your sword is not going to fly out of your scabbard. Pop up, bah, 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 into eventually a cut, right? Now again, because of the sheer width of this one and how wide it is, there's a lot of air momentum or air resistance, but feeling just the raw, try not to hit the mask either, the raw power of that cut, again, using that momentum, bring it back up, and using your whole body. Okay, we already talked about how great that one is into this guard. Highly recommend, lots of fun. So if you have a staff, for example, a staff is a good way to get used to that momentum as well. But nothing quite beats having a heavy sword, right? So if you have a Ssangsu Gum, this might be a fun place to try it with. In the classic zeitgeist of our generation, it's going to end with a little bit of a disappointment. But the idea of having a nice big cut up all the way around, all of this being awesome. The next part, again, critical hat on, is going back to the first time I was a little bit salty about this one. You're going to push through into a, again, right, left, center cut. Again, now this time just to right foot forward, going forward. So we're going back into our center line cuts, which again, I don't believe are really what the Ssangsu Gum's really, it's not where it shines, right? But we're going to do it, right? So again, so from here, or again, so from here, pushing through 1, 2, 3, and then you're going to turn once more. For the last time, we're going to do our spin cross cuts to the back. Section 3 is relatively simple in terms of movements, but it gives you so much information to your body, right? So the form itself is relatively easy to, that section I'll say, maybe not the whole form, but that section is relatively easy to memorize. But I want you, like, as you're going through it, feel the momentum of the sword, how it's affecting you, how your body can affect it just by the relativity of where your sword is relative to your body, how your twisting can augment that's power. It's a lot of fun. So as you can also imagine, as you can probably notice, I do a lot of philosophy as well, so it's a lot of fun. But with that, make sure you stay safe, stay humble, and keep training.